Well, good Friday morning, my Jesus-loving friends. How y'all doing? Now, I've been doing real good this morning. I've been feeling really good and haven't started talking yet. So, we'll see if I can get through this devotion this morning without coughing. All right, dear ones, if yesterday was the 9th, this must be the 10th of December. Rising to the top. Jesus said in Luke 14:11, all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Yes, that's wonderful. I wonder if he's talking about when we get to heaven, or if he's talking about now. I don't know, but let's see. Before I close the book, let's see what the lady says that wrote the book. Pride has no place in the heart of a believer. What are symptoms of pride? The need to be number one, the center of attention, the life of the party, to be better than anyone else, to push others down in order to lift yourself up. Jesus said if you're filled with pride in yourself, you're going to have a reality check. The people in God's kingdom who are lifted to the top are those who are humble. Those people rise to the top. Now let's see if I can read a little further here without... This is pretty much counter to anything you hear outside of Scripture. This is especially true at a time when women are struggling for recognition and equal benefits and bumping against a glass ceiling. I do not think that's correct at all. I think it's the other way around. But don't let those struggles build pride in your heart that inhibits your relationships and work for Christ. Find the balance. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. I think women are exalted over men these days. I think the reason men are living with men is because women have become so prideful and self-exalted to the point that men can't even feel masculine or manly with them anymore. So I don't even agree. That may have been the case years ago. But I'm telling you, I was always exalted in my jobs. I was always exalted by my bosses. Not because I exalted myself, but because I sat at my desk and I did my job. I worked for a doctor one time. I worked temporarily for a temporary service, where they send you somewhere for a few days or whatever. And every place they sent me, the people always hired me. Or wanted to hire me, but I didn't want to work for all those places. But this one was a doctor and I wanted to work for him. He was a urologist and he worked in a hospital. He had an office inside the Children's Hospital in Oklahoma City. His name was Dr. Donald Halverstadt. And he's the one I've talked about before that did such amazing surgeries on children. Children that were born with defects. They couldn't tell if they were male or female, or they had both organs, or they had some internal problems, and he did surgeries like that. He was amazing. And he kept journals of everything that he did and everything that he taught. He not only worked as a surgeon doing that, he also was a teacher and taught other people who were in college how to do that in medical school. And so I would make these journals for him, which were just great big fat photo books. And they were full of slides, colored slides. And he would take slides of these children. And one of them was of this little 2-year-old girl that had come in, torn and black and blue to her little baby knees because some man had raped her. I was so innocent and so naive as to things in the world because I was raised, wasn't allowed to go to football games, wasn't allowed to be in a club, wasn't allowed to stay after school, wasn't allowed to skate. Skating was a sin, swimming was a sin, everything was a sin, and if there was a boy involved. So I was really sheltered, and of course I was 20-something by then. Sorry, it's starting to come up, guys. I was 20-something by then, divorced, single, with a little girl. And so I was just in awe and amazement every single day at my job. That this happened and that happened, and children were born like this and born like that. And one day, one of the nurses came by and she said, "Hey, have you ever been up to the such and such floor, the 5th floor, whatever?" Because they found out quickly that I love children. And she said, "Come with me, I want to show you the kids up there." I wish she never had. I shouldn't be telling stories with my current flowing like a volcano from my chest. So she took me upstairs. And upstairs was a little children's floor. It was called Children's Hospital after all. And it was all little children, you know, newborns to, 3, 4, 5 years old, little kids in cribs. And they had awful, awful deformities. Born with no legs, born with no arms, born with no arms or legs, born with their brain outside their skull, born with their spine outside their back. It was just absolutely shocking, just shocking, like I was on another planet. Like this just cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. Oh my goodness, my goodness. I had no idea. I'm telling you, you have no idea how naive I was. I didn't know all babies weren't born with all their arms and all their legs and everything where it was supposed to be. I had never seen a child like that. And it was just absolutely shocking to me. But the love of these doctors. My doctor was the kidney transplant type doctor. And then right next door to his office was another office of a plastic surgeon. And so he and the plastic surgeon worked together. And so, my doctor would remove whatever needed to be removed, and then the other doctor would go in and do the plastic surgery to make it look good, or. So what a time in my life. What a time in my life. But I started out telling you that to tell you how the people that I worked for always exalted me. And in this case, I thought the man just didn't like me, and he was firing me because he didn't like me. But I found out, I came to realize many years later that he was actually telling me the truth and was really trying to help me. But he came in and he told me one day, he said, "Joy, your skills are way above the job that you're doing here." He said, "It's all I can do to even keep you busy." He said, "Everything I give you to do, you do immediately, you do it perfectly, you never have to redo it." He said, "You don't belong here." He said, "You need to find another job." He said, "You'll never make the money you are worth here. You are worth so much more than we can pay you here." And of course, I went home in total tears, crying my heart out. He hates me, he hates me, he hates me. But he didn't. He was really being true, and he was exalting me. And my other bosses were the same way. I had one boss that cried when I told him I was marrying Jerry and I was going to quit my job and we were going to move to Norman, and he just was so upset. So, I think that this is what the scripture means, that if you don't exalt yourself, others will exalt you. I'm sorry I could talk for another 30 minutes, but I'm going to have to quit, because the more I talk, the more I cough. Thank you for your prayers. I hope you all are getting ready for Christmas and enjoying the process. I have the binding sewn on my Christmas tree quilt, and now I'm going to sit and sew it to the back and drink a whole bunch of water and quit talking. Maybe I'll watch an old movie or something. I never, ever do that. But I just might do it. I love you all. I'll be back tomorrow.